if you were to ask me, and what is the problem with the enforcement of laws against pollution of water sources, I would say three very, very important things which I consider as the basis upon which there seems to be issues with enforcement. The first important thing is apathy. It seems to be that the leaderships, for a variety of reasons, have yet not grappled how serious this problem is to the national economy and to the health of Malaysians. And I believe in what has happened has maybe perhaps with the outcry created some level of awakening. The second reason why there seems to be a difficulty or lack of enforcement seems to be, as pointed out by previous speakers, a lack of resources. Many of the bodies, institutions, and departments charged with water security simply lack sufficient budgets to be used to help enforcement. And you can look, the outstanding example will be the Department of Environment, who has a huge task in terms of its role in water security. And if you look at the Environmental Quality Act of 1974, it states that it is an act relating to the prevention, abatement, controlling of pollution, and enhancement of the environment, and for any purposes connected therewith. It's a huge objective, yet it simply lacks the resources, and I'm particularly talking about financial resources. And the final reason of lack of enforcement, I think, which all of you have on your mind, and many of you have written comments and posted blogs, is a lack of integrity, which is a nice way of saying corruption. So if we look at these three items, they seems to be the main obstacle. Now, what do we do about it? Now, I think it is important for us, first of all, that our leadership accept two fundamental principles before we go into this area of water security and its enforcement. I think the first fundamental principle that must be accepted is that clean water and access to it is a human right. I think the government must accept this, and I'm not saying they don't, but they must come out and say it, that clean water and access to it is a human right. And the second principle that is of importance that be adopted by the government is that a threat to water security is a threat to national security. Now, if these two fundamental principles are accepted by all governments, be it the federal government and the state government, we would then have the framework of how decisive action can be taken and how important that action be taken. If you look at COVID-19 and the way it has been handled, and certainly the degree of importance the government has placed on it in terms of movement control orders, bringing out the armed forces, police, it shows a genuine will to want to tackle the problem, a very, very compound and difficult problem, no doubt, because they have to balance the economy as against health and safety. But nevertheless, a framework was set because the national leadership took this as a national issue of importance. Now, similarly, this approach must be taken in terms of water security.